Hello and welcome back to 200 First Dates. I am your host, Sam Bear, and we have your co-host again, who is the lab rat. Sounds so awful, so we'll think of something else, but the one actually doing the deed, again, that's not great. We'll figure it out. But Susie, our dater, is is
I went
back.
from really science-y to sort of slutty with those two different intros.
Although that seems like that's how dating is. It's like semi-sciency and it's a little slutty. Like that's where we're at these days. So
Definitely.
anyway, right? Okay, anyway, I'm very excited. It's kind of interesting. Our first show was filmed on the first day of Women's History Month, and now our second show, our first check-in, is being filmed on actual International Women's History Day. I'm sure there's some psychologists out there who will figure out the meaning behind this and some astrologers. I just think it's cool and don't feel like going into it more than that, but it is pretty cool. So, on that note, the show is called 200 First Dates. Have we had one date in the last 7 days?
We've had one date and one failed date already.
Ooh, okay. Now, this is interesting because we're going to talk about both of these because I think we should keep I've decided. I'll ask, but I've decided. I do think we need to keep a tally of how many actual dates have occurred because I think that's the whole goal of the 200. From this article, it was all about to go on 200 dates. I think we should also keep a running tab the not dates. What do we think?
No, I agree, because that's a problem with culture today. I've talked about this with, my younger brothers are 5 years younger than me,
Yeah.
and they're like, oh yeah, no, we'll make plans with friends, and they might show up, they might not. You never really know. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, no. I'm used to, if you say you're going to be somewhere, you better be there, or you better be calling me, telling me why you're not there, not just maybe you'll show up.
Yeah,
But dating seems to have become that, maybe we will.
that's wild. I mean, I would be really frustrated. As somebody who perpetually runs late, and I know I'm working on it. I get it. It's a sign of respect. Like, how about some of us just have adult ADHD and it's very difficult to be time management. Like, I'm getting there. But I always text or call. Now maybe I'm lying in the text, like, oh my God, I'm on my way. But at least I'm conveying that like I'm aware I'm supposed to be somewhere and I'm gonna get there. Am I really in my car on my way? Honestly, no. But hey, I know that I need to leave in like 5 minutes. I can't
But there's
imagine being
also a
somewhere
difference
and waiting for a
between,
date. Huh?
but there's a difference too between being 5 or 10 minutes late like you are, and
Totally.
let's be honest, we all clock that in for you now. We've known you long enough. But compared to, I mean, I've had people just flat out not show up. Like I've had like my brother and his friends, they've invited me out and they're like, oh, we're going to do this, come join us. And I show up and I'm like, you said there was going to be 12 people here and there's three. And they go, oh yeah, the others just never showed up. And I'm like,
Yeah,
did they say anything? He's like, no, they just don't show up.
that's so weird. I would never
To
just
be clear
not
too,
check in.
the failed date, the one that I'm counting as a failed date right now, it is not because they didn't show up or didn't. It's this is a very quick failed date of I was like a traditional blind date set up that I went to. My friend had people. We were all supposed to meet at a park to have brunch, like picnic brunch. Because we're getting creative with how we hang out with people these days. And we
Mhm.
were celebrating because a bunch of us have gotten both of our shots. So this was like, hey, we got our shot. It's now been 14 days. We can see each other, but still let's do it in a park. And she purposely invited someone who she said was single and she wanted me to meet. So
Yeah.
legitimate blind date here. Um, Except they showed up and we found out that they now have a girlfriend. So that's a
Ooh.
fail in my book, but not really. They didn't know that they were trying to be set up. It was more she invited who she thought was her single friend.
Right. I think that also kind
So
of
still a fail, but not.
yeah. I'm going to count that though as a fail. Maybe we'll have to categorize this. Okay, so you had a potential blind date with these two friends, maybe they don't really know each other that well. Or if you're in a relationship, I think it behooves you to like share that information. Just like drop it in conversation so people know that you are off the market. Okay, so that was a traditional, like, a real person blind date that didn't work out. Tell us the details about your first official on this road first date. How did you meet? How long did you talk? Um, did you do any vetting? Like what decided for you, like, okay, I'm gonna meet this person? Was it a virtual or in person? And after that, I'll ask the next couple questions. So first one, where did you meet?
Uh, so we met on Facebook date.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody can hear my dog that's deciding to be annoying real quick, but he's
So you met on
downstairs on the other side of the house too.
Okay,
Facebook
so you met on
date.
Facebook date.
Um,
And can you explain for
and
some
we
people?
actually had been talking.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, what Facebook date is? Um,
Yeah.
so Facebook has decided, I think, because Facebook has decided it will be our media overlord eventually. Um, that they're going to get into the dating game, and so it is very similar to if you've been on OkCupid or Match.com, or it is a dating profile that is sort of linked to your Facebook profile, because you can take all your pictures from your Facebook profile and it's easy to say, here, use these as my dating one, but nobody can see it's not like people can just see your Facebook profile if they match with you. They can only see what you say on your dating profile.
Okay.
But then it makes it an easy there's an option once you're like, hey, you're getting to know them. Do you want to send them a link to your Facebook page so they can see everything?
Mm.
Which makes that easier. But it's just like a little sub page of Facebook. That's just dating.
Okay.
It is interesting because one of the features they do say is if you have mutual friends. So if you match with somebody, there's a little thing saying, hey, you guys also know these people, according to Facebook.
Right. Okay. So that's interesting. So it still allows you to, like, match with people outside of your network, but if you have any kind of overlap, I feel like if I did Facebook date in college, the, like, mutual friends would not be helpful because I friended everybody. Like, it would have been not helpful. They're like, you have 20 mutual friends in common. I'd be like, I barely know these 20 people. But now, being older, I feel like it would help. I would definitely do some reconnaissance if we had some mutual friends. Be like, tell me about this person.
Oh, see, that's funny because mine's the opposite of. I do Ultimate Frisbee, and so I'm the one that leads the Facebook page for our Ultimate Frisbee group. But in
Uh-huh.
order to get into our group, you have to be friends with one of us, which means everybody becomes my Facebook friend so that we
Mm.
can add them into this group
Mhm.
when they want to. So I have a lot of people that I'm like, I'm friends with you, but I see you for an hour every week. Like, that's it.
Yeah, like, I don't really know you. Okay, so
I don't
you
really
meet
know you.
on Facebook date, and remind
And
me,
so
I already
we,
forgot. Do you have friends in common with this person on Facebook or not?
no, no, we
Okay.
don't. We have no friends in common, but we started talking in November, right around Thanksgiving. We started talking then. Oh, and then it just sort of like petered out. Like we
Okay.
just sort of like, eh.
Yeah.
And oh, I'm wrong. I met him on Hinge. I met him
Did
on
you
Hinge
Oh,
in
see,
November.
I love the, like, when you match with someone and then whatever peters out in one app and then you match with them again in another app and it's like, what? But I don't know. I think it can go
That's
one
what
of two ways.
happened.
For me, I always get really excited again, and I get a little passive aggressive. Not gonna lie, unhealed trauma, working on it. Anyway, I'll be like, so, do you think we'll get it right this time? Oh my god. Okay, so you've already matched, and now this is a
No,
different.
yeah, so we matched in Hinge in November, and we're talking, and then just sort of petered out because it was the holidays. By the time it got towards like Christmas and Hanukkah, we were busy. We had things to do. But then we matched again in Facebook
Uh-huh.
and I messaged him and I was like, "Hey, stranger," and he was like, "Oh my god, I literally deleted your number a week ago,"
That's
because he had
okay.
already gotten to the number.
That sounds so awful.
It does. It sounds awful, but he was like, "No, I was about to text you, and then I was like, oh, we haven't talked, so I deleted your number instead." And he goes,
Okay.
and then we matched again, and he made the comment. He was very quick when we matched on Facebook to be like, "No, I'm not letting this chance." He goes, tongue tied. I'm like, "How did he phrase it?" It was something about second chances. About how he goes, I'm not one to let second chances go. Since we matched again, he was very quick. Like we matched on like a Monday, and he had already made plans with me on a Friday. Because he was like, we were talking. I liked you.
Right.
We've matched again. No, let's just meet in person. And I enjoyed that. I liked the like. No, we have been talking for 2 months.
Right. You'd already kind of done the initial like scoping out kind of thing. Um okay. Now when he says he deleted your number, did he have your real number or did he have your safety number?
Oh, I guess we need to explain that because nobody knows this. So I have a Google number, which for anybody who is doing online dating, go get a Google number immediately. It
Yeah.
is the smartest thing to do. So, and for in case nobody knows what that is, you can go onto Google and they will give you a real phone number and you can link it to your smartphone. It's just an app and you can text through it, you can make phone calls through it, you can, send photos, you can do everything you want with that phone number. And so
Mhm.
they don't have your real phone number, which
Yeah.
is nice because it is online dating and you never really know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
And it's a lot easier to get lost if you need to, if somebody gets, creepy. It's a lot easier to just, never answer their number on Google than if they have your
Mhm.
real phone number because this day and age, nobody changes cell phone numbers anymore. It doesn't matter if
Yeah,
you move into
totally.
another state, you don't change it.
Yeah, absolutely. And
So,
I think it's in my experience whenever I've told somebody, back in the day like, "Oh, that was a Google number, let me give you my real phone number." They were honestly very understanding. Um and they felt like, "Oh, I've made," like they kind of saw that like, "Yeah, I'm letting you in a little bit more to like this personal information." I mean, and I'll say I've been fortunate, if that's even the right word, but like I just don't waste my time with people I'm dating who wouldn't understand. Like it's one of the shortest conversations I have, of just like, "Oh, yep, you were on a fake number. Here's my real one." It's if they needed to talk about it, I guess I would, but it's very rarely an issue. So if anyone's concerned that somehow that's going to throw a wrench in the system, and I think Susie can,
and
I mean,
honestly, it's
briefly, it's never
happened.
been an issue for you, right?
It's only happened once where one guy was like, "I'm sorry, what?" And I was
Mm,
like, "Well, would you like?" And honestly, the only reason he got my real number that fast, or was I should say was going to get it, was I have an iPhone. He had an iPhone.
mhm,
If you are two iPhone users, the messages are blue because you use iMessage going back and forth.
mhm.
Google numbers don't go through iMessaging, so it's a really big giveaway that they're not actually texting your real number. If you show up
Um,
and they notice you have an iPhone, but they haven't been using iMessenger to talk to you.
See, I'm a droid girl.
And
These are things I don't know.
yeah, but so it was one guy once that he was talking. He goes, so what's up with your iMessenger?" And I go, "I'm sorry." He goes, "You have an iPhone." So do I. And I go, "Yeah, I don't know who I'm meeting. It is online dating. You gotta be safe these days. So I have a Google number." And he seemed really offended that I wouldn't have given him my real number, but I'd be willing to meet him in person, which I want to be like, "I'm sorry, you met me at a restaurant. You don't actually know where I live,
Yeah,
and you don't have my real number. And I guarantee you, if I was creeped out by you, you would not see what car I get in and leave in."
yeah,
So, but no, nobody really has an issue with it. And if they do have an issue with it, don't give them your real number. That's a big
yeah.
red
Right. If
flag.
they
Why shouldn't you have their number?
Exactly, and then there you go. You've still saved yourself. You've kept yourself safe with a little bit of space with the Google number. Okay, so I'm curious.
Exactly.
Did this guy have your real number or your Google
Yeah,
number?
so he had my real number. That's the funny part is we had just exchanged real numbers
Uh huh.
when it started petering out, and I know a lot of it was because of the holidays because I
Yeah.
got really busy which sounds weird. I mean, pandemic, who was busy actually, but it was more busy trying to, coordinate the, hey, how do you have Thanksgiving dinner with people without actually being with people?
Yeah.
You know, so we found ways around it of things like, hey, I'm doing the turkey, so I'm gonna cut it up, put it in individual boxes or Tupperwares, and I'm gonna drive around and drop off turkey. And my friends who did mashed potatoes did the same thing. So we got a little busy playing
Yeah.
this game.
And also, pandemic or not, the holidays are just I think it's not an ideal time to meet someone new. It's difficult to put energy into that.
And
Pandemic or not, like,
I'll say the main thing. I'll say the main thing. Let's be honest. You meet somebody
boom,
around the
say it.
holidays, they're like, "Oh, and you need to get a gift. You need to be
No!
going to like parties and you need a gift." And I'm sorry. I had enough going on. I wasn't going to try and find gifts. I'll be honest. I didn't want to go shopping for another person.
Give them socks and a Starbucks gift card. They'll be real happy. I know what you mean. I dated this guy very briefly. He was a chef, but we met. I It was a very short whatever it was. I don't so a couple weeks, let's say, but before Valentine's Day. It's like freaking kiss of death, man. And I was like, and we'll get back to your first date, but I'm a big Valentine's person. I don't care. Come for me in the comments. Like, I like it. Okay. It's whatever. But even with this person, I was like, oh, like, it's really not a big deal. And I honestly felt that. Honestly, to me, should have been a flag that, like, I wasn't that invested. But I was like, we're not even an official thing. Like, I don't believe in putting pressure on the day for something that can't be truly, like, quantified. But if I'm in a real relationship, oh no, Valentine's Day matters. So I'd already told him, don't worry about it. But this guy, like, really goes over the top. And I said, like, I'm not expecting anything. I might get you something small, but, like, don't trip on it. So, geez, I bought him a stick-on tattoo of, like, a kitchen knife.
Oh, I remember this.
Yeah, well, he's a chef and he had a whisk or something
Yeah.
tattooed, and I was like, "Oh, well, I always see on TV, chefs that have a kitchen knife," and I thought it was cute. I thought it was poignant. It also showed I listened. And then, I showed up and he had like a dozen roses and dinner and chocolates and wine, and I was like, "Here's your here's your stick-on tattoo." But whatever.
No,
Anyway,
no.
my
Here's your
point is,
stick-on tattoo and something pretty to look at. Come on.
I mean, yeah, but, like, we weren't even doing that. Like, I mean, this was a
I
guy who didn't he pecked kissed, like, it was like a chicken, 3 in a row very fast. It was not great. It wasn't even good. So anyway, we were not doing anything chicka bow wow. But yeah, you gotta look at my face. My face is pretty. Okay, so you met on Hinge, but the in volume 2, you meet on Facebook date. He's bypassed the Google number. He's got your real number. And he says something sweet about second chances and love and all this crap. Great. Okay. So what was the first date?
So we went to a local brewery here,
Okay. Okay.
and I will be very clear. We met at the local brewery.
Okay.
He does not know where I live, so we went there, met there. Um, was a rocky start to the date
How so?
because, well, about 30 minutes before I would have been leaving my house to meet up with him, he sent me a text saying, "Hey, I might have to delay our date a little. I just found out my dad's in the hospital."
Whoa.
Yeah. And so I was like, no, take all the time you need. Like, just, you call your parents, figure out what's going on, and get
Yeah.
back to me.
Yeah.
Mind you, at this point, I was dressed and ready to go. I already had my hair and makeup done and was sitting there, and I was sort of like, well, damn it, I wish I hadn't just put hairspray in.
Right.
But so he calls me back, lets me know his father had a stroke, but is
Mm.
doing well. I'll let everybody know his father's doing great.
Okay, good.
See, expected to make a full recovery, caught it right away. Everything you could hope for when you have a stroke is what is happening right now. So that is great. Because he called me back. We were supposed to meet up at 6:30. He called me at like 7, asking if I still wanted to meet up.
Oh, I don't know. That's not so bad. If you're already hair
No,
and
and so
makeup
I
done and you like the person.
no, and that's what I told him. I was like, no, I'm more than willing. It was more are you still good to meet up? Like,
Right.
do you still want to go out? And he told me, he goes, well, I can either go out with a pretty girl, or I can sit at home. And his parents live on the other side of the country,
Oh, wow. Okay.
so he was like, I can't do anything. He goes,
Right.
I can sit at home and worry and wait, or I can go out with a pretty girl. So
Yeah.
yes, I would still love to meet up with you. So we went to the local brewery,
Mm-hmm.
had a couple beers, and some apps, just something to nosh on, and then just talked, and it was really good. Um, we are we are pretty much the exact same height. Like he's a little, maybe like a half an inch taller than me,
Okay.
which isn't bad. I just know I said I want someone taller than me. He is 11 years older than me.
Oh. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Now I have a
yeah.
whole bunch of questions. Okay. I have so many more questions now. All right. No, keep it going. So yeah, why don't you sip your sips? Okay. So he's a half way to lead with like, oh, he's a half an inch taller. No, you lead with the age. Okay. 11 years older than you. What else? Like, has he been married? Is he divorced? Does he have kids? Does he have a dog? Does he have a house? Does he have a car? What does he do for a living? Like, we need this rundown. That's 11 years.
Okay, so yeah, I was easing into it. So no, he has never been married. He has no kids. He has
Okay.
a job. He owns a
Wait,
house,
job or
and yes, he does
career?
have a dog.
Okay, job or career?
He has a
They're different.
career.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, no, he has a career. He's only been with this company for
Mhm.
about 4 or 5 years, but it's still the same career path that he's
Awesome. Okay.
on.
Right.
So he has that, and then he does have a dog. He has a bulldog. Is like the cutest thing. I have seen pictures. He is so freaking cute.
Love it.
It is just this big, tubby, adorable dog.
Okay.
But yes, we have that.
Um,
He's a total gearhead though, which is different because I
what
am
does that
not
mean?
into cars.
Oh, I'm like, I don't know what gearhead means.
Gee, if we wonder if Sam's into cars, no.
No. I mean, no, not really.
They go from point A to point B. That's all I care about.
Yeah. And is it clean on the inside?
I mean, even that I can look past as long as it's clean enough in the front where I'm sitting.
See, you can. I can't. I need clean cars. Okay,
Yeah.
so he's a gear. So
Well,
then what kind of car did he drive or did you not see it?
no. So he showed up in his truck. He has like a lifted truck. He also has a Camaro.
Ooh.
Is it a Camaro? And the Camaro's name is Storm. I know the truck has a name too, but I can. Oh, it's Seymour. Seymour the truck. Um, he had just gotten new tires for for the Camaro, and he's getting new tires for the truck. And is like in the process of joining a car club. Because that was one thing
Okay.
he goes, yeah, no, you'd look really good getting in and out of Storm. And I was like, all right, there's an interesting compliment. I've never been told I'd be looking good getting in and out of a car.
Yeah, like thank you. Maybe.
Thank you
Sure.
for I have the ability to stand up and sit down. Congratulations to me.
But you do it looking great. Other people just do it. So anyway, okay, great. So you're at the brewery, you're heading away. Um have I'm gonna ask the questions that I feel like any girlfriend would ask. Like, what's their longest relationship in? Did you guys cover that?
We have not covered that yet. We covered
Okay.
more the he does want kids,
Okay.
but he's okay without kids. The he thinks that's up to, like he would like kids, but
Yeah.
if his partner in the end was like, no, I don't want kids, he'd be okay with that too. Um, he does want to get married,
Okay.
which is good. we talked a lot about our family because we have similar families, it seems to, in a way. He has a sister who he is not
Mhm.
close to, and I think it's definitely one of those, like, they get along because they're siblings, not because they actually like each other, and so
Yeah.
I don't know if you can actually qualify that as getting along even.
I don't know. That sounds really hard.
They
I mean, for
tolerate
people.
each other.
Ooh. You know what though? I'm gonna reserve judgment. I take back that sound, there's a whole lot of dynamics, and honestly, people will come for me for this. Like, listen, I think family's important. I really do. I also think that I was raised culturally to really always put a family relationship as a priority. So, there's always effort being put in to build and maintain and grow those relationships, but just because blood's running through people, like, I don't think that
And
that has to be the biggest, like we are they had no say in their being related either. So, whatever. Okay, but they're
no,
not close,
that's
and I know
true.
you're very close with your siblings.
I am. I'm very close with my siblings,
But
but I
they're
also,
also not
just
assholes. Like, we don't know the sister, maybe she's a fucking asshole. Like, let's
and
put
I'm
this out
trying
there.
to give they could be, but I'm also trying to give that grain of salt because there is always there's his story, there's her story, and there's how it really is.
Yeah.
And I only know his, and it was a rough family day to begin with. So I'm trying not to read into what he said about his sister
Oh,
because of that.
okay.
Well, he just like the way he talked about her, I'm like, "Ooh, you guys are not like I don't think you would talk to her except for the fact that you're related." And
Right.
maybe it's just because it's also a tough day. Like there was a tough
Yeah.
family day, but he is close to his parents,
Okay.
so that was I liked hearing about that. Because yeah, we talked about our parents. We talked about traveling because he enjoys to travel. Um, and we talked about like how I don't like to drive because I think driving is stupid. And I know there's people out there that love to drive and that driving's relaxing. I think it's stupid. I don't like it. I like having the ability to drive and I like when other people drive to drive. I don't care if that sounds bougie. I don't need to drive.
No, I don't think it sounds bougie. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, that's one of the benefits of being partnered. I don't do most of the driving, and I'm very happy. I'm always quick to abdicate that in any type of relationship. Like, it's not a problem for me, um, to let the other person drive. They can even drive my car. I don't care. It has nothing to do with that. Yeah, I'd rather not be responsible.
Oh no, I'm good. I'm the same way, and because that's what got down the road of all of the cars and we talked about all
But
the
I
cars
feel
he's
like
had.
a gearhead would like that because, like, that's their car that they love. Like, I feel like they would prefer to be
Oh
the
yeah,
one driving.
oh yeah, no, he was completely game with that. He's like, no, that's great, and I did like the look I got when I go. So does that mean I get to pick the music when we're driving? That I'll play DJ as you drive? And he was like, I mean, I guess I'll let you. I was like, oh,
My
that's a
god.
yes that you don't want to give.
You guys are so cute with your car flirting. Okay, so how long did the date last?
2.5 hours.
Okay. Was there a
Yes,
kiss? And oh, yes, girl, that was fast. Jeez. Yup. Yeah, we did. Do you think that
yes,
a
we did.
kiss that there's, like, too much pressure or unnecessary pressure, uh, to kiss
I
on the
don't
first date?
I don't think you have to kiss on especially like a first date or a first meeting. It was more it just felt right.
Yeah.
And it was definitely I was given the opportunity where I could have because like we've all been there where like a guy has just kissed you and there was no way to say no or like back away or anything. It was
Yeah.
definitely a very deliberate like I knew he was going to kiss me. It was very clear and I was totally I could have turned my head. I could have taken a sip like it was very clear. I could have ended that immediately.
Right.
Cuz there
Right.
was that I mean, we've all been there when somebody's leaning in to kiss you and you can do that pause that's not awkward but gives the person the chance to be like, "Ooh, no."
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I know
no, but
what you
we
mean
did
about being
kiss.
that's awesome. Well, I know what you mean about being kind of being backed into a corner sometimes for a kiss, and, like, I went out with this guy and he picked a great restaurant. I've never even been there since, but, like, the food was great, and he was like, "Order whatever you want. You don't gotta tell me twice, like, no problem." And then he walked me to my car, but, like, I was really surprised that he went for it because I didn't feel any, like, romantic chemistry. But I was at my car and I thought I had somehow gotten away from this, like, obligatory first date smooch because I've never tried so quickly to get into my car, and then I, like, turn as you do to you open your door, like, I couldn't do anything, and, yeah, he leaned in and it was a peck and fast, and to be honest, I was like, "No, I didn't want that," but I was also, like, shook free of it, and he didn't try anything else, and then the awkwardest thing was afterwards, he walked away and did one of those, like, Breakfast Club, like, fists in the air, and I wanna be like, you were not on this date with me, sir," because, like, there's no way you should be that, like, stoked on the, like, fish lip experience you just had. So, yeah, I feel you. I'm glad that wasn't yours. You sounded excited. So you guys had a
Oh,
first
it's
kiss.
just funny. I'm
Great.
like rolling my eyes because I'm thinking about the guy who licked me when I tried to turn my head and not be
Ew.
kissed, and
Ew.
licked me from like chin to eyebrow up the side of my face. And if that's not more of an indicator that this date did not go well, I don't know what else is. I will
Ew.
also point that is pre-pandemic
Oh, right.
because I think that's part of it too. Of I don't think I would feel like this is not my first date since COVID,
Right.
but this is the first like first date kiss while in a pandemic, and I don't think I would have felt as comfortable if I hadn't had been talking hadn't had that's a strange sentence, but okay. If I hadn't been talking to him for several months prior
Mhm.
to it, I don't think I would have felt as comfortable with the hey, we did kiss.
Right.
But I also know I'm like, I know who you were talking to in December. I know what you were doing. We caught up. I know that you hadn't seen any like you hadn't been with anybody else. You hadn't really been seeing people. I feel comfortable.
Mhm.
And it
Okay.
just felt right. A lot of it comes down to it felt right.
Yeah. Um,
So, but no, he was very sweet. He's very nice. We are still talking.
do you have a
So we'll
second date
see.
on the books?
Not oh with him, no. But I do have other people I am talking to as
Okay.
well.
Okay.
Oh, we're gonna go on a random tangent here because so I went out with one of like my best male friends, and let's see if anybody else has heard this theory. Have you heard the theory that women are like basketball coaches?
What? No.
Okay, this is what he was explaining to me that when women are dating, I need to preface this when like single women are dating, they're like basketball coaches. That they have their main guy, like their star, their
Okay.
backup,
Yeah.
and then like there are three guys on the bench, like ready
Oh,
to go.
I mean, I could see that as how men see it. I mean, you and I for years have just called it the list. Like, uh,
I'm like, yeah, but I'm like, I don't know if I ever would have like, yeah. There's the list of there's the who I'm really like feeling, but I'm like, oh, I don't know. I feel like that just sounded so much colder to be like, it's like a basketball team. You're either the
yeah,
star player or you're not.
it does feel that yeah, it does seem a bit more calculated. Um, I know that for me, and this is interesting. I'm gonna get us trying to bring on some other guests to talk about maybe the difference of like being bisexual in this dating realm or being a lesbian, and I want to know how long their dates are and like do they have a rotating list, things like that. So it's important to keep in mind this is for like heterosexual dating. Like, yeah, a star play. I don't know. There's something about it that seems skeevy because I know for years, like you and I personally, and I know I've had these conversations with many other women. Yeah, you have the one person. If you get to a point where you're kind of talking to more than one person, you have one who you are like, this is who I'd like to give more of my attention to. But also, they're not committed to me yet. And so I'm not going to just throw myself in and relinquish all other options until they're ready to commit. Um, although I will say
I
this
guess
in
it's
college, I
more
had
it
a
upset me.
What upset you? I was
I
gonna
was
talk
gonna
about
say
my
more
college
it's the
rotation, but clearly we're past that. So what upset you?
yeah. No, it was more because it reminded me of there was a radio DJ here talking about that women are so calculating with men that they'll never be. It was pretty much saying that women will never be really single, that they always have somebody because they're like, yeah, even if you're in a relationship, they're like, oh no, the woman knows when they're going to end the relationship beforehand because they already start setting up the next guy. And I'm
Dude,
like,
men do that too. Men do that too.
oh, I know. I'm just going with, but that just made it sound so cold. Same as like when he was like, no, it's like a basketball team that you have your mate. And I want to be like, do you think women always have like that? Was we talked him down to because it was I was with my guy friend and then it was our it was my girlfriend, him, and then and I together. And we were talking. He's like, yeah, no, like girls always have a basketball team. So we had to talk him into no, that's a single girl thing. No girl in a committed long term relationship has
Yeah.
backup guys waiting in the wing.
Yeah, and also that's not 100% of the time when you're single either. There are definitely many periods where I didn't have a list. I didn't have like a B team. And there were also time where I wasn't actively seeking anybody. I was legitimately very happy not having to take into account anybody else in my life. Like wasn't going on dates. Didn't have any apps. I didn't want to. I wasn't even putting out a vibe. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just walk through life, live my best self, live my
Yeah.
life. But I will say this: we're talking about my rotation. So in college, uh, I had asked a guy who I was seeing and who I did like. I mean, I guess if we're doing the all star one, this was the person I did want to spend more of my time with to a sorority function, and they hemmed and hawed. And I might be busy. And I said, so calm. I wasn't even angry. I said, oh, don't worry about it. You're just the first call I'm making. I don't do not worry about it. I have another guy who wants to go with me. And he said, what do you mean you have another guy? Starting to get defensive because I think men get very like, well, we're seeing each other. You can't. No, we didn't have a conversation about monogamy. We didn't have a conversation about being in a relationship. Like, we don't see each other every day. Like, there's so many things there. Like, there's nothing. It. I'm not a mind reader, so there we go. And I kind of said that to him. I said, well, we're not in a committed relationship. So and I could hear them getting a little frustrated. And so I did break a little. I said, you're who I want to go with and you are who I prioritize, but we're not committed to each other. So like, yeah, there are other people who I'm spending my time with. And then like
And why do guys
weeks
seem
later,
so
we
shocked?
became boyfriend and girlfriend and that list disappeared. You know what I mean? It wasn't an issue for me. But yeah, he was very shocked. But then when I explained it, like we didn't, there wasn't any decision made. And like to be fair, at that time also I wasn't sleeping with any of these people. Not that it would have mattered for me personally, but that's like how my personal life. But in terms of dating, like I was like, I'm not sitting waiting for you. You're sitting on some good things. Like, and a week later they were like, I want to be
That
your
is
boyfriend.
that is very true because there's also a big difference between dating someone and being in a relationship with someone.
Hmm.
Because I did that in college. Oh my goodness, that was the best day ever looking at your face when we were trying to find a movie to go to. So, when I went to college, one of my girlfriend's mom gave us the advice to date numerous people. And I know that sounds bad, but she
Which
goes,
is what
"No,
you're doing
go on
now.
dates." I know,
Which is what
but she
you're
goes,
doing now.
"No, go on dates, like find people, dates, do this." And this is the part that sounds bad. And we look and go, "Really? You want us to date around?" And she goes, "Yes. Meals are expensive, and you will be poor college students, and you're going to be getting life experiences." She goes, "There is no problem with dating multiple people and getting someone to take you out to dinner while you figure out what you want in life. And if somebody else is going to pay for you while you're figuring it out, then you do it." And I was very honest and open throughout college because I dated multiple people in college, and I was very open with them about how. And this might sound sneaky because it is all how you phrase things, but I was very honest with them of saying, I'm not missing out on college opportunities. I don't want them to miss out on opportunities. We're all trying to figure out what it is that we want in life. And so, I don't want to, until we're sure that we want this to be an exclusive relationship, we're just dating.
Yeah.
Every guy took that as, oh my God, this is amazing. The girl I'm seeing told me I can see other girls too. They didn't put together that meant I could see other guys.
Yeah, totally.
But that's very similar to right now of I am dating people and I'm going out on dates and I am, or obviously there will be people that I see more than once
Yeah.
while I figure this out. But unless the two people, because I don't share well, I know you should never say never about something you haven't tried. There is no way in my mind that I would ever want to be in a polygamous relationship because I don't share well.
Yeah.
That would be my partner. That is who if I decide that is who I'm going to be in a relationship with, and that's who I want to have as my significant other, my boyfriend, my partner, no, I ain't sharing him with anybody else.
Mhm.
So until I come to that decision and until we have that conversation, and it should be a conversation, it's not
Yeah.
assumed, it's a conversation. I'm single and I can date other people. I can go on dates. I can see what I want.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree. I think that when there is that like, oh, that men primarily will hear like, "Oh, wow, I can see other people and they're going to be so faithful to me." And it's like the issue of faithfulness is not an issue right now because we're not seeing each other and everyone has different parameters on like what they'll allow in dating and like in sexually or otherwise, like what are your boundaries when you're not in a relationship and well, okay. So
Oh
we've
yeah.
established that. Okay, so I don't like the basketball thing. The list and the rotation, I also say this, the last time we really talked like that, I think was college and then maybe a little out. Like in college the list was like arbitrary and some of it had to do with like, oh, this like cute guy at the pretzel stand is always like smiling and looking at me. It was more like the selfish like for me, it had a mix of like, yes, guys I was flirting with. Like it was very clear there was an attraction there. A guy I was seeing, but then the majority were just like, I mean, self-esteem boosters. We were 19. We were still working on owning our shit, but it was like, I'm gonna walk by the like pretzel guy today because like he's always super nice, or whatever. But then getting older, I do think the list still exists. Like you're definitely seeing more than one person, but I think in our experience, it's a little smaller. Who knows? With this
Yeah.
experiment, the list might just get longer. But for
It
me,
might.
I get tired of like juggling too many people. It's like
Oh Lord
it
help
already
me. If
worth
we're
that.
getting that long, I'm gonna need to start using pet names for all of them immediately.
Yeah, totally. Oh yeah. So speaking of this guy, we still don't have a name. Are we giving him a real name or are we giving him a pet name?
We'll go with his name is Chris.
Chris. Okay.
Chris. Yeah, that is his name. Um I will go with my failure. I won't give his name. I'll be nice.
The one with
Which
the girlfriend.
the one thing, and that was, oh, I felt so bad for, my friend. So so it is my good friend. It's her
Uh-huh.
boyfriend that she knows that that I'm dating and that I want to find somebody. And so I felt so bad because he was trying to be like I'm supporting
Oh.
your friends and I listened to you guys and I found a single guy to come and meet her.
Yeah.
And he just said, "Hey, come join us." Because I was like, "Don't." I go, "I don't want to just go on like I told him, "I don't want to just go on a blind date where I just show up at a restaurant and there's a random person there playing I'll have a rose and you have a rose and that's how we'll meet each other, you know,
Yeah.
movie blind date." I was like, "No, do something fun where we can meet each other, like really laid back, low key." I go, "If we hit it off, he and I can go." I'm like, I'll say something like, "Hey, let's go grab this," or "Hey, like we can figure it out," or "You all can just disappear."
Mm-hmm.
Um, but no, he showed up and it was one of those like at the picnic was when he told everybody he had a girlfriend. So,
Mhm.
like, nobody knew until he showed up. So it was like, well, there's a fail. And the poor guy didn't really know he was being set up on a blind date. So there was a lot of
Jeez.
jokes. Once he left to to the guy, I was like, so next time, why don't you tell him at least we're inviting him because he's single? Like, at least put that one out there so beforehand we can be like, hey, he has a girlfriend. I lied.
Okay, so I do like though that you're open to the human dating aspect of the sense of like your friend setting you up. That's good to know. Okay, so I also wanted maybe we'll see how much data I want to keep track with all this, but it seems like right now Facebook date is that's on the scoreboard. And the person setting you up is a negative. There are no points because they didn't figure out one of the basics, like are they single and open to dating. All right, and now for
Which,
next
is
week.
great, our parents who think that's how you should get on dates is how, your friends, you'll be introduced by your friends. Maybe not.
I always thought that, yeah, I agree. I always thought that would happen a lot more, even when we were younger and online dating was still like you'd kind of like hide it. But no, I feel like if people know someone who's eligible and single, like they're dating that person. The TV in general
Or they've already
totally.
introduced you.
Right, yeah, TV in general really made me live under the guise that, like, whenever you say to a group of women or even women and men, like, "I'm ready to date, set me up," there's at least 1 or 2 people who are like, "Oh, now you're ready? That's really weird because there's actually this literal perfect person. I can't express to you how perfect they are for you that I've never introduced you
I've just
to."
had them hiding in a closet,
Yeah, I
never
just
thought they should come out till you're ready.
so weird. Like I honestly, I always thought that that's not the case. um,
Yeah,
but I
no,
like that
not
you're
at
still
all.
open to that if that still happens. All right, so you've got Chris probably gonna be he's entered the lineup. Chris has entered the lineup. He'll probably do a date too
He
if he
has
asks you out.
entered it.
Yeah, if he asked you out on a second date, would you say yes? And do you think a second date the man has to initiate or do you? Or does it matter?
I don't think it matters. We'll see. Right now, I definitely have dropped hints
Okay.
about like what a second date could be
Awesome.
because he does. So Chris does mani pedis. He doesn't do the nail polish, but he does go and get mani pedis,
Okay, good.
and
Men's feet are gross.
they are feet in general are gross and disgusting.
Yeah,
Because
that's true.
I don't like feet. But we were talking today, and he made a comment about how he needs. Well, I said I broke one of my nails. He said he needed a mani pedi, and I was like, yeah, I need to get that too. I need to figure out when I can go do that. So
Yeah,
I
that's
definitely
definitely
left it open.
I think that's a clear hint, and that seems like also a pretty cute, like, second date. You're in a space where, like, you're gonna talk.
Yeah, but he didn't pick up on it because I'm just gonna make my own appointment apparently.
Alright. Alright, so Chris is a maybe. Do we have anything on the who's anyone new? Who's coming up for this week? Yeah, check the apps.
So I have to pull up. So I have started messaging a few people. So there's I'm gonna need to have him say his name for me because
Okay.
I think I'm gonna mispronounce this. Zaxar or Zaxar, Zexar. How would you say that?
I'd either go with Zahar or Zexar.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, is it Zahar or Zexar? I don't know. But he and I have started talking. He has a Google number right now.
Wait,
He
how
was
do you
cute.
know
He
that?
wished me a
Oh,
happy.
you gave him a Google number. I was like, how
How do I
do you
know
know
he has a
he has
Google
a
number?
Google
Because
number?
that's the one I gave him.
No, I thought you meant he has a Google number, like his number.
Like that's the one I gave him.
Right. Okay. He has a Google number. Okay. Okay.
um, but he did wish me a happy Women's Day today.
We love that. We love that. Okay. What are his deets? How tall is he and age, and does he have a career?
So I have to cheat and go into the app because
Love
I don't
connection. Got
remember
it.
everything off the top of my head. I know it's Love Connect. he again is 11 years older than me. He's 44.
Okay.
He's looking for a long term. Doo, doo, doo. And then he's a what he says on here is a social media specialist at specializing in organic growth on social media.
Okay. So yeah, social media marketing and things like that, SEO. That's a legitimate job. I
Ye-
know that you might be like, that sounds fake. It's a real thing.
It's a real job. I know that. I just think maybe, hey, if you're a social media operator, maybe you could have phrased that a little bit better. That
Hey,
might be a
that
Facebook. Facebook needs to phrase it. I don't know if that's one of like the options that they chose. I just think it's. I think that's a weird sentence to say out loud.
yeah. So this was another Facebook date match.
This is another Facebook date match.
All
So
right.
we'll
On the
see.
board again.
We'll see about them. So he and I have been texting back and forth, and then there is also um one guy, but I don't think we're actually gonna go out just because. Alright, so we matched on Hinge and we were talking, but he already is talking about like making out, and I'm like, I'm
Mhm.
sorry, you're talking about making out with me before you're asking me to go have a meal with you. That's not a relationship, that's a hookup.
Yeah. And yeah, it feels kind of desperate too. Like, I don't know,
Well,
there's something
it
very
was one of
turned
those
off
like
about it.
it's very turned off about the hey, you want to go to a bar, have a few drinks, and make out in the corner, and I was like, no, no, I don't.
Yeah, no.
You want to take me to a nice meal and talk to me while we eat? Great.
Yeah, not a fan. All right. Well, here's pulling for Zahar. I want to know how to say his name too. Jeez. Well,
Right
this
now,
is
I'm just gonna call him Z. So Z and I.
I'm calling him Zahar. That's a sick name. Well, that's really exciting. Okay, so you're one down, another one on the horizon. People to people, sorry, you're down. You're -1 or 0. You're not on the scoreboard yet. Facebook date, you've got 2 potentials up on the board. What are you what would you want to do this week on a date? Let's say you and Zahar, like, what would you want to do?
So I've actually been thinking about this, and honestly, I half want to be like, dude, like I know I said like dinner and like movie or dinner and like you're going on a hike or something for a
Yeah.
date. But I'm also like, if I'm going on 200 dates in a year, I want to be like, we're gonna start doing shit I need to get done. Like, we're gonna be getting mani pedis because that's things I need to get done. That takes a good time. That I'm gonna start. I feel like I need to start being a little bit pickier about like, hey, no, we're gonna go on a hike because I need to get my workout in, or we're
Yeah,
gonna go do this because there's things I
absolutely.
want to do. Now, granted, that's a first date of hey, we're getting to know each other. We're like seeing how this is because for the most part, these are people I'm meeting online that, what you say online and how you come across online, that might not be how you are in person.
Yeah.
You know, I could meet you in, I could meet you in person and be like, this is cool, this is great. I never want to talk to you again. Your voice just for some reason annoys the crap out of me.
Yeah.
And that's nothing against them as a person. It's just, you don't know that till you actually meet them face to face.
Yeah. Totally.
So for these first dates, I might start being a little bit pickier about like, no, we're gonna do the things I need to do because I also have errands and a career, so I only have so much time.
That is interesting. I think that's a good place to leave off because it gives everyone something to think about. Like, at what point is it still dating if you're knocking off things that you need to get done? Like, at what point and how does dating change? I think that's interesting. Like, and I also think like
And
it's
I'm
an
not saying
interesting
like I'm gonna ask
concept.
them to come
I
get groceries.
I You're not gonna have them come and get groceries with you. That's probably good.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say like that's the day. Like, hey, come go grocery shopping with me because I need groceries. But like,
Yeah.
I just am realizing that hey, when people start like when Chris was like, well, what do you like? Would you want to go grab a drink? Want to do this? I like it worked out well. I was like, yeah, let's go to a brewery. Let's do this. But I just started thinking like, no, when they ask me this, I'm gonna start being more like, no, I need to go on a hike today, or that's what I plan to do today. So let's do this for the date, or
Yeah,
These are things that I could do as a date, so there's no reason not to suggest them.
absolutely. See, I like that. But yeah, it's something to think about, you know? Um, and also zero pre-dates yet. I'm loving that, loving that. So I'm really excited. We're one in. Why I keep saying we? You're one in. You've
We got
got
very
one.
invested in this.
Yeah, you've got one lined up, and let's. So okay, you're on. All right. As long as we get another one this week, that'll be great. Maybe we'll manifest that somehow another person will come in, but I'm not gonna lie. We're gonna have to pep you up if we're only doing one a week. We're not gonna hit our 200. So there's gonna have to be. I get we're just starting. I get it. You're
Well
easing out of the gate. We're
well, that's where it comes down to, like, do some of these failed are some of these failed dates going to count?
no,
Because
no,
I
zero.
don't think they will, so I don't know if we're gonna hit 200 in a year. It might just be 200 that we're going for.
All right, that's true.
Because
That's true. We got time.
well, if we're not counting the failed ones.
We're not.
So then, yeah, but we got one down and 199 to go.
Exactly. And on that note, thank y'all for tuning in to 200 First Dates with your host, Sam Bear, and your mystery dater, Susie. Soon we will be opening up applications to start increasing that. My goal is to have her go on 200 first dates in a year. Her goal is the 200 first dates. And honestly, the ultimate goal here is finding love and really understanding what it means to be dating in your 30s. So, as Susie said, one down, 199 to go. We will
99 to
see
go.
you. Oh, you'll hear us next week.
So I dream, yeah, I dream.